Welcome back. It's art time, class. Today we're going to be doing a 1-point perspective drawing. I'm going to show you how I got to this drawing here. To start, I created something like this. Now this is the helper paper I used in class when I was teaching this to the first graders and kindergartners. That usually ends up more simple, like this, or like this. I'm going to show you guys how I come up with this paper and what are the there's two of them, the two key things that make this a perspective drawing, a 1-point perspective drawing, in fact. We're going to need a few things. Let's go ahead and talk about that. With our paper, what's really important is a straight edge. Here I have a ruler. Besides your straight edge, which you can use this if you don't have a ruler, you're going to need some pencils, an eraser, perhaps a sharpener to keep your pencils sharp, and a blending stick. For my pencils today, I have 3 different types. I want to first show you my 8B. This is my dark pencil. So really lightly and then really dark. See how really dark that is already? That's how light it goes and that's how dark it can go. Okay, it's just like my shadows. I have 2B, which is not as dark. See how light it can go and then how dark it can go. So it still can go really dark because it's a B, but it goes a lot lighter if I need it to. And then there's 2H. This is the light one. Here's the lightest it will do, and then here's the darkest it will do. See, that's as dark as it will go. That's because it's an H. It's never going to get as dark as pitch black as those guys. Now for our drawing, you want to do a piece of paper laying out horizontally. This is like our landscape format, okay? Other ways, it's this. This is portrait, which you can do if you'd like. We're going to go like this. I'm going to do this way. So I'm going to draw out. We'll sketch this out here. Let's use. And lay this out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be perfect, and that is okay. On some of our drawings we've been doing, some of you draw all the way to the edge. Some of you have been drawing in the square like I have. It is up to you if you want your picture to fit inside of your paper or if you want your picture to be the paper, like the whole thing. I'm going to go ahead and draw myself a little frame. It's not perfect, as you can see right here. That is not even at all. Didn't measure. That's all right. It doesn't need to be perfect and awesome. This is a fun sketch for us to enjoy. Now, the very first, very important vocabulary word that we're going to be going over is our horizon line. Now, horizon line is somewhere kind of in the middle. Okay. And right here, somewhere in the middle of 6.5 is somewhere a little over 3. So that's kind of the middle right there. And I'm going to go ahead and draw this line in, and I'm going to go back with and pick up my 2H. I want to do a light line. Whoop. Put my hand in the middle. There we go. A light line. Look at that right there, guys. I made my first mistake with the very first line. It's okay. It's okay. I have my eraser. I have like some weird scratch mark from over here, and you saw it. As soon as I moved my pencil, the ruler moved, so I had to move my hand back in the middle. That's a rookie mistake. That's okay. Just erase it. It's going to look great anyway. I'm going to erase that line anyway. It needs to be light. Can't be too dark. I want it dark enough that you can see it, though. So let's go in there and make it right. So my hand's in the middle. Pencil right here going all the way across. There we go. Still not dark enough for you to see. Very good. Very good. All right, so we have our first line. This is a very important line. It's called our horizon line. Let's go ahead and write that out. Horizon line. There we are. Excellent. So that is my horizon line. It's a very, very important line. And then there's another very important thing, and it's not a line. It's a point. A point. The point wants to be somewhere towards the middle. Okay, that's your vanishing point. Your vanishing point. Let's go ahead. I'm going to write that up here. Vanishing. Now, because we're doing a 1-point perspective, we have a 1 vanishing point. In a future drawing, when we do a 2-point perspective, we'll have 2 vanishing points. Oh, nice. That's nice and big where everyone can I just want everyone to be able to see it. All right, so the vanishing point is deep down over there. Right in the middle. Now that we have those things, I did a few extra guidelines for the students, all right? So on the guide drawing that I gave for students, there was a horizon line. The vanishing point is kind of right here in the midst. There was this line and this line that I guided students in. And those are it's like a parallel line that tapers. You call that an ortho angle, where they come together. So where that vanishing line is, you're going to take your ruler and you're going to do 2 lines. Okay. It might look a little bit like a triangle, and that's okay. Your line is going to go from, let me use my 2H. Here we go. There's 2H. Go from that point, and it's going to come off somewhere down here, and this one's going to come somewhere down here. Now I want this to be a road in the future, so roads are fairly straight. They're not bendy and curvy in a lot of areas unless I want it to bend and curve, which I think I want a straight corner. So we'll do, I think, a straight edge that comes out from here. I like this. And then I'm going to do one, but it's not going to come down as far because there's going to be like a straight corner right about there in my picture. Oh, I want to move my paper. About Very nice. Now that I have that, see, I brought it all the way down over here, and then on my idea drawing, I had to bend it over. So I'm going to go ahead and just bend it over here because I have my idea already. But you guys probably went all the way off the edge, and that's okay. Oh, there was this box, and there's these 3 lines. Well, when I did these 3 lines with my students, I talked about how these lines are the same height. So this is 1/2 inch, and this is 1/2 inch. And then this over here is like another 1.5 inches, and then coming down here is 1.5 inches. And then this line here, starting from right there, it's, yep, 2.5 inches, and 1, 2, wait, 3, 1, 2, oh no, it was 3, 1, 2, 3 is a little short up here for some reason. So they get bigger as they get closer, and it's the same height on top as it is bottom. Those are the things I talked about when I told them to place these lines. I said you're going to put 3 lines down, and they're going to be as tall as they are on top as they are at the bottom. So I want you to get a line right here. And I told them to draw up. For you guys, I want you using a ruler or some sort of straight edge. If you have a ruler, it's a lot easier to measure. All you have to do is put the middle of the ruler on the line and then go, all right, that's 1 inch up, and then 1 more inch up. If you don't have a ruler, you kind of have to eye it. That's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. None of this needs to be perfect, guys. Okay. We'll just eye it. Let's turn it on that edge right there. Like that. Let's see. How did I do? That's about 2. That's a little over. This is a little taller, or a little longer on the bottom than it is on top. That makes sense. I did that on my other picture. That makes sense for me. For the box, for this right here, I told them to create 1 line. I'm going to do mine right about here. Similar to this line, I told them go ahead and do one of these lines again over here. But this time, I told them you're going to draw another line going all the way off the edge. All the way off the edge. Kind of like that. And then I had them erase this part right here. You will need to erase some of your guidelines. I didn't mention that when we were doing our portrait drawing. For our horizon vanishing points and all that, it makes it a lot, gives a lot more depth, more realistic looking when we erase those guidelines. So don't be afraid to erase it if you need to. That's why we drew them light to start. And then I had them line up with this. It was pretty hard for a lot of them. Okay, I had a lot of those extra guide papers because they needed it. So I lined this up with that vanishing point. Guys, I made a mistake. I started to eye out that being parallel. These lines are not parallel. They're not parallel, they're ortho angles. Ortho angles all go to this vanishing point. So from this point here needs to go towards that vanishing point there. Same up here. So this goes towards that vanishing point here. And then I can draw another line going straight up. That's the side of the building. Okay. And I had them erase this. All right, guys, we have our building. This was really hard for a lot of students to get, this part right here. So again, when I had them do this, first I had them do these 3 lines to practice making this line and this part the same height, the same distance apart. And then I had them do a big line here, all the way off the edge, all the way off the edge. And then we talked about how this comes into a point. They're not just parallel, they come to that point right there. And then I had them draw in these lines. It's a very hard shape to figure out. And it's really exciting when they did. I had some really cool pictures. Guys, let me show you some of the ideas we went with from here. Because it was at this point, it was their picture. This is your picture now, guys. You get to decide. So on this example, I colored this in to be more of like a house with bricks. And I had done more trees. I had turned these into trees. And the tree that's really tiny is farther away. The tree that's really big is closer to the viewer. I talked about that. And this is just a dirt path that I made. On this picture, I added more windows, making this look more like a city building. And I made these into telephone line poles instead. It's up to you on what it is you want to add. By doing a dotted line down the middle of this, you make it into sort of a road. I want to go ahead and do that with you guys now. You don't have to do these details. At this point, it is your drawing, kids. You do it how you want. Parents, if you're doing this with your students, I definitely encourage you guys to listen to some music and talk about different things while you're drawing. So for this dotted line, as we're working, we're going to make a really tiny little itsy bitsy one way back here. And it's going to come straight down. I can use a guideline if I want. I could like put my ruler down here, and let's actually do 2H for a guideline. Really light line right down there. And what I'm going to do is make a dotted line. And the dots are going to turn into tiny little rectangles, because that's what the lines on the street look like as we're driving past. They look like these little rectangles. And here we go. It's going to get even longer. And then, I think this will be our last one right here. As it gets even closer, it turns into a much, much wider. And it's not just a rectangle, it's actually a trapezium. Trapezium is like a trapezoid. So like this shape right here, that was a trapezoid. And a rectangle. A rectangle next to a trapezoid makes it look more three-dimensional. And these are trapeziums. So trapeziums is like a trapezoid, but it's a lot taller. The shape we use for volcanoes is a trapezium. And as our imaginary straight line gets farther and farther away, it gets tinier and tinier. Okay. Ooh, I'm gonna make that look like a volcano on a volcano on a volcano. And that's why I like having this extra room to do little doodles and fun stuff like that when I have ideas. Let's see, what else could we add to our drawing? On my drawing that I showed to inspire students of different details, I did an area where I could draw in people's inside of a picture, inside of the windows and things. I want to talk about, I added more buildings. Ooh, that's something we could talk about. When you're adding more buildings, you'll follow this line, but if the building is shorter versus taller, that line moves. Let's say if I put a taller building right next to here. On this picture, the buildings are a little bit of a lineup. It's pretty simple. I could make the next building taller. Oh, let me get my 2H. Yes, my 2H pencil. And let's see if I do 2 inches up. Oh, I can't do 2 inches down. It's going to be extra tall looking. Ooh, let's see what happens. I can't do 2 inches down. That wouldn't make sense. It's supposed to get smaller, but it's also taller. So in that case, let's see here. This is still going to go to that vanishing point. And this is still going to go to that vanishing point. This line is still perpendicular to the ground. It's still going to be going back. And then let's say the building comes down right back here. Ooh, that's looking cool. Let me get my eraser and fill in the rest of these lines. This height, this is like the end of the buildings because it's only goes so far down the street. Let's erase that. Ooh, that looks cool. So now it looks like there's another building behind it. Ooh, and then it's taller. Ooh, what if I want to do, I guess a smaller building. I'm going to do, a smaller building next to it I think will make sense. Let's make it itsy bitsy. Yeah, it's going to line up more with that one. So even though these buildings are not the same height in our picture, in real life, these buildings would be the same height, because if the viewer moved forward down the street, this would still be the same. That would be the same height. Ooh, this picture, it's getting really fun. You'll see me move my ruler around, right? That's important to be moving your ruler around and really get those straight edges. If I'm doing it, I really want you guys doing it too. I'm gonna go back with my darker pencil and get these a little darker. That's a mistake right there. It's okay. It's okay. I can make mistakes. I can make mistakes and keep trying. That's okay. Now the buildings all line up on the sidewalk. It's a sidewalk right here. And this is going to be like a curb. So I'm coming back in with like a little bit of details. That curb's got a little bit of a lip as it comes down, like that. I want to put a curve on this side too. And that street just continues down that way. I could bring this down here and make it like a four-way intersection if I wanted. I'm gonna do, because I wish I had, when I was doing this drawing, I wish I had more paper space over here. And you know, you can always take a paper and like, you just glue that down and then continue drawing over here. You could always do that. But on this picture, I saved room for it because I knew I wanted to do something over here. What if I did like a little crosswalk? Would be nice. Wait, I need to get my vanishing point. Look at that line. That was, that's me rushing. Here we go. Let me just clean that up. Go to the vanishing point. Let me do it on this side. Vanishing point right there. The line continues out that way. And I guess it would go like that. So, doop, bump, bump. Yay. I can start shading that in. And I've got a little bit of a crosswalk going there. Ooh, let me get my blending stick. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I just erase that a little bit. That's okay. It still looks good. Let me just come back in with a little bit of a shadow there. Yay! Oh, I'm so excited with this picture. And we could do so many things with it. Okay, class, we have made a really cool picture that is a 1-point perspective. Look at this layout that we've started. It's time for you to really make it yours. We did the horizon line. We did the vanishing point, and it's 1-point perspective, so there's one vanishing point right now. For my older students, I want to see you add details that are small, like the size of your fingers. For my younger students, I want to see details that are more like the size of several fingers or the size of your hand, okay? And remember, you can go nature, you can do buildings and cities. It's up to you guys, making it your picture. Speaking of your picture, let's look at some of our student work from our last project. This was a easier step, like this earlier project was a little easier than the one we just did together. This 1-point perspective is harder, guys, but it's going to add more depth to our picture. That's what all of these landscape drawings in our next drawing is going to be about, adding more depth to our pictures. My goodness, there's so many good examples of coloring, so much great line work. You guys were really layering things. Now on our 1-point perspective drawing, you saw a lot of things that were smaller or bigger. Just like this right here. So it's going to be really small and it's going to get bigger and bigger. And that's like that extra challenge for this picture compared to the last one we just did. Well, guys, thank you so much for drawing with me. Till next time, keep creating.